Hello and welcome back to the Broad Street Hockey YouTube channel. My name is Jacob Russell, and I'm here today with my fellow prospect extraordinaire herself, Madeline Campbell. Maddie, how are you doing today on this humid late August? Honestly, I don't even know if it's humid. I always comment on the weather, and I never know if it's humid there.
It's actually beautiful today. Not to rub
Uh,
it in if the weather is bad up there.
no, it's beautiful, but I think Canadians. It's weird, right? You get the humidity start hitting you, and it's a whole different ball game than just the sun. I think we can take the sun. The humidity's where it starts getting a little dicey, but so late August, it's another that time of the year. It's another top 25 under 25 for the Flyers organization. We do this list every single year. We've done it for a very long time at this point. I think I saw archives going back to like 2016, 2015. So this is one of our babies, and we love doing it in the off season. So and yeah, Maddie, I just it's really difficult to explain how we rank these guys, but you want to give the people a little primer on how at least you voted and how you like to quantify or qualify these guys on the list.
Yeah, I think largely my ranking situation is pretty vibes based. I think I definitely give anybody who's played like meaningful NHL time a bump, but beyond that, it's kind of I try to balance upside and sort of current present value, but I try to do my ranking again a different day and it looks totally different. So it is what it is. What about you?
Yeah, I feel the same way, and I feel the same. I feel like we were talking about this as we were getting ready to do the list of. We always have a lot of discussions around like someone's at 22, he should have been at 24. Like, so I feel like the start of the list, the guys who are in the 25 to 20 range, those are the guys that I always have the most trouble with because you don't really know what they're going to be. Like these guys, if they haven't played in the AHL, especially, it's tough for you to project the young guys so far into the future, right? And um, right now we're in the sicko category, so I'd like to start with number 25, and that is the big boy from the AHL, Mr. Hunter McDonald. Hunter McDonald is number 25. He opens up our list. The 23-year-old drafted in 2022, sixth round pick. He's played primarily the last couple of years in the AHL with the Phantoms. His first full season was last year with the Phantoms. He played 71 games, had 18 points, but obviously, as a defensive defenseman, not necessarily what you're looking for, but somebody who saw a lot more of him than me, especially in person. Maddie, what do you think about Hunter McDonald? Where'd you have him ranked this year?
So I had him all the way down at 25, which the back sort of part of my list is a pretty mushy
Yeah.
area. So like, don't super read into that. But, he had kind of a weird season. I think the members of the front office were really, really talking him up heading into this, like his proper rookie season in the AHL. And he was pretty good. But just like across the whole of it seemed like he never got totally settled into the defensive system they were running down there or lack thereof. Um, so it led to things being pretty up and down for him. And like you can definitely still see the tools, which is why I'm definitely not out on him as a
Mhm.
prospect at all. But um, yeah, it's still very much a project, and I think as a result, the management is like cooled off a little bit how much they're hyping him up at the moment.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, the start of this year, it seemed like McDonald was a guy that they were looking to bring up maybe partway through the season, right? I put him at 21. Um, Nothing crazy, right? I feel like just because of his frame, I'm sure we're going to get to that 6'4", 205 as a left shot, as a defenseman. If he doesn't even have the skills, I have a bit more projectability for him than maybe some of the other defensemen we'll get into on this list, who are also Phantoms later on. But yeah, McDonald, he's a big boy. He's able to move the puck. He's not like a complete slug out there. And you saw with how this past year's draft went, the Flyers are picking ogres. They're trying to get guys who are big, and then we can maybe teach them to play hockey a bit better later on down the line. So again, very low prospect capital invested in McDonald. It's not like he's a guy that we expect to break in and be a top 4 guy, but Jason McNeil had him 11, which is kind of wild to me,
He's got
but
some
I
fans
like it.
around here.
I like it. Yeah. Like, listen, I think if you ask the front office, they'd say a lot of the same things that Jason said. You know, he organized his list. He said a lot of gut feeling, a lot of hunches, a lot of going off of the projectability of frames. And for a defenseman, McDonald's got everything you want. You just got to have a little bit more, sharpening around the edges, and maybe he turns into something. And yeah, there's not necessarily a ton of guys on the Flyers who can put somebody on their ass. And McDonald has some snarl. He's tough. He's physical, and he brings a different dimension than, say, if you were to put Emile Andre as the 7th or 8th defenseman. That's where Andre's kind of gotten a bit of a roadblock, is that he doesn't fill that sort of role. And when you have Jamie Drysdale, Cam York, Travis Sanheim already trying to play offensive games, it might be better to have a guy like McDonald on the back end to sort of give him a little bit, give the defense a little bit more to dimensions to work with. So moving on to number 24 is somebody that I'm a bit higher on, in Cole Knuble out of Notre Dame in the NCAA. He last year, 34 games played, 39 points, and quite a pretty solid season from him in his second year in the NCAA as a Fighting Irish.
Yes.
Yeah, he was in the USHL as Fargo before. So yeah, his second year in the NCAA. Some potential here with Knuble, Maddie.
Yeah, definitely. And especially like as a slightly older NCAA prospect, he's 21 already. He took that year in the USHL, I believe, before
Yeah, Fargo.
getting
He
to
was the
college.
assistant
So
captain.
definitely seems to have benefited his game. He's not like a super flashy guy, but I like his skill set a lot. It seems like he's getting just a little bit better every year. He looked more mobile at development camp, which I love to see. And I also really loved what Brent Flair had to say about him at the end of camp, in terms of like, what does the organization need to see from him in order to feel good about giving him an entry-level contract at the end of the season. And he just said he's got to finish the season. Like, they're feeling good about him. So he's a guy who, still a lot of runway ahead of him, but it's that the organization's excited about, I'm excited about, and could play a role in the future. I had him 23, just to backtrack. So feels low, but like still a guy that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, I had him 24 right too, but again, he's another guy I looked at this year. And when you compare him to somebody like Carson Dewart, who the Flyers signed and who is also an overager coming out of the NCAA, I think Knuble brings you more. I think his skill set's a bit more varied. He does like to get to the dirty areas. I think it's kind of cliche, but he does have a little bit of his dad in him. It's not going to be anything flashy. It's not going to be anything crazy. He's a bit smaller, obviously. He's not huge and tall and lanky like Mike was, but Cole's got that same sort of gritty play style that I think can translate, right? I see a lot of these guys in the NCAA as older scorers. If they play a certain way that is kind of perimeter centric, it's hard to really translate that even to the AHL. Never mind the NHL. So with Knuble and his ability to get to the front of the net and kind of be a bit bigger, beyond his size, I think is also something that I noticed in the little bit that I watched him. I like him for the future. Even if he's not going to be any bigger than the 5'10" he is now, but he's got a solid frame on him that I think he's going to be hard to move in front of the net. Jason Polinsky, resident sandwich expert, had him 16th, and he had more bias towards college players, which I think makes sense. I mean, Knuble's playing against, I think, the hardest competition he can get at his age bracket right now, besides if he made the jump to the AHL, of course. So, I think he's got the potential to really take a jump next year if he's able to put up, let's say, 50 points or something of that nature. It really make some eye-popping statements next year with Notre Dame, and try to get that entry-level deal and see what he can do in the AHL.
Yeah. And like Jason also said in his ranking process, like, Knuble's got the NHL pedigree, and that's valuable.
It is, especially with, again, the franchise. There's a lot of NHL related people hanging around. I mean, that's not to say that that's going to be the only thing that dictates whether or not he joins the NHL team at some point, but doesn't hurt. To be honest, it doesn't hurt. I kept Lappy around long enough coaching in the AHL, so at least Cole won't have to deal with that anymore.
And I think
Anyways,
that's
someone who did.
a
Go
good
ahead.
segue
Go ahead.
into our next
Yes.
player.
Yeah, we're on the same track now. Samu Tuomaala, the 22-year-old second rounder who is still down in the AHL. Decent season last year, point wise, Maddie, but I think there was a bit more under the hood that had the front office wanting more.
Yeah, he's a tricky one where it's like the offensive capabilities, like there's no question about what he can do there. He's got the speed, he's got the shot, he can be productive at this level. But even heading into the season, they were pretty clear that they wanted him to be working on, how he's supporting the puck, how he's playing below the circles, and like doing more things when he doesn't have the puck. And like, I hate to say being a better teammate in that regard, like that feels kind of harsh, but in that vein. And I think we saw some progress there, but it was really up and down across the whole of the season. I saw a lot of him looking frustrated when he wasn't scoring and didn't really seem to know what to do, getting a little tunnel vision there, which was frustrating at times. It really was a shame. He seemed like he was getting things moving in the right direction again, and then he like immediately got hurt and was done for the rest of the season. So I don't know where that leaves us heading into next season. It's a tricky one for him. He still made my list. It was close. I had him at 24. Looks like he fell off your list entirely.
He did this year, unfortunately. And it's tough for me in Tuomaala because whenever I watch Phantoms games, besides him actually scoring or putting up points, it's hard to notice him on the ice. He doesn't necessarily have these bad games or these good games rather, where he doesn't score. I think that's also what, the front office is trying to get him more to focus on in his game, because as a second rounder at 22 now, it seems like as the more and more prospects, the Barkeys of the world, start to join in. Luchenko's going to be there eventually, right, in the AHL. If not, he just skips right to the NHL, right? But it's still going to be the competition for that roster spot. And the same thing with Alex Bump. Like a guy like Alex Bump, he's vaulted over Tuomaala immediately, right? And Tuomaala seems now like he's more in the Devin Kaplan sort of Carson Dewar range of guys who can jump in here and there, but I don't even think they want to put him in the bottom six because of his play style. So it's going to be really tough for him. JPO also had him 14th this year as well, and he made actually a really good point that I kind of agree with, and maybe if I would have considered it, I might have had him at the end of my list. Thinks there's a lot of unlocked potential with proper coaching. I think there's definitely a chance that if you get a guy who is able to get his confidence, Tuomaala's confidence in gear for a full season, for a full 82, he can definitely bring something that he can unlock something that could make him a middle six scoring option and force him into the NHL, if not in Philly, then somewhere else. But yeah, I think Jason brings up a good point there.
Yeah, and I think it's valuable too that the Phantoms' new coach was an internal promotion. John Snowden was around the last couple of seasons, and he knows him as a player. Even if Lappy's messaging got a little stale, wasn't really getting through to him by the end there, there's some familiarity. I think that'll help him out, hopefully. Yeah.
Well, it's almost coming to that time for him where he's going to need to make a jump or he's going to end up somewhere else, right? So
yeah,
that's
and it's weird to think about because he's still
he's only 22.
He's so young, but there are just so many guys.
There's a lot of middle six wingers that are potentially there that are better than him. Yeah. So that's really his issue thus far. Moving on, number 22, 4 years younger. big jump in age back down to Carter Amico, the 2025 second rounder that the Flyers picked up this past draft, I suppose. Not much to say here, unfortunately, because he doesn't tend to play that much. But all I can tell you is 6'5", 225 right-handed shot going to Boston University this year. It's hard to say no to that.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a really intriguing sort of package there, but he wasn't on my ranking. He was one of the last guys to fall off for me, just because like there are so many prospects that we have to rank towards the bottom of that list, and like I haven't gotten a lot of eyes on him. So, you know, if he has a
Yeah.
big start to his college season, I think he could be a big mover in my personal ranking, but that's just kind of like where I'm at.
I did see him a little bit at the national team development program down the USHL in that system, but yeah, he looks good. He can definitely move, but again, it's like, can you do this over a full season with contact, with pressure? Like even at the best of times, I've been pretty open about my the dubious nature of the USHL, especially for defensemen. Like,
Yeah.
there's not like crazy patterns of play coming at you. There's not a ton of skill. Like guys like Riker Lee are hard to defend, but it's kind of a dime a dozen down there. It's a lot more of just a bunch of guys skating around trying to figure some shit out and get as many points as they can to get draft eligible and really make their name known. But Miko, I was looking at something Jay Pandolfo said recently. He's the head coach at Boston University. And Pandolfo was saying just like they're not going to rush him into this. They really want to play him in a prominent role. So at the start of the year, he's probably not going to join the team like right away. He's not going to start the season. They want to give him as much of a ramp as they can, especially as an 18-year-old defenseman, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to take some time to really get used to the college ranks. And like as you said, he was unranked for you. I had him at 22. I really like the projectable size. I like the ability if you're that size and you can skate for me. As long as he stays healthy. I mean, if he proves that he can't stay healthy this year, I will probably fall off my list, at least for now, going into next year. But there's definitely a package there where you can look at it and say, wow, you can dream on this sort of archetype of a defenseman. If he's able to really put it all together and stay healthy, he can be a real steal at the point of the draft where you got him.
Yeah.
So Brad had him at 15th. He was the person who ranked him the highest, and he said that he prioritized the potential and upside more than anything, which I think we both agree with.
Yeah.
That's what you have to look at. It's a matter of how much that stands out for you, and how much belief you can put into it, right? Because you didn't see all that much, and even if you did, it's hard to find every single USHL game or every single NTDP game he played to really get the full picture that aren't just highlights. But yeah, quote here: tall, right shot defenseman who skates well for his height is a take any day. And that is 100% true. I cannot get mad at that take. Heading into our final list of the first five, number 21, Helge Grans, 23-year-old, was acquired via the trade from the Kings that sent Ivan Provorov the other way. AHL player last year, the year before, 23 points in 66 games in the AHL. Played a cup of coffee with the Flyers, just played 6 games, had an assist, didn't really show much. He's a weird one for me. I'll let you take the floor to start, but he's a weird one for me.
Yeah, I mean, he got an immediate kind of boost in my ranking for having played some NHL games this year, so that's kind of went into that. But I don't know. I generally liked his season with the Phantoms. I think we tend to forget, even though he's been in the league for forever, that he's still pretty young. He's still just 23 years old, just turned 23, I think.
Yeah, I believe so.
And yeah, I think he's been making some nice incremental progress. It seemed like he's unlocked some things in his game this past season. I've liked his offensive contributions, like what he was doing sort of from a playmaking stance. He's not like the flashiest player, but I think everything was working pretty well for him. Yeah, no complaints there. Like,
Yeah, I had him off my list, which I think is maybe a little harsh, especially because I had Amico on there and he is barely a hockey player um, at times. But Grans for me, he kind of slots into that same sort of mosh pit with Dennis Gilbert, Noah Juleson, the newly acquired guys, Igor Zamula. They're all in this sort of bucket. Even Hunter McDonald probably could be put in there for this upcoming year. And I just don't see a world where Grans necessarily gets the time to show that he's anything more than what he currently is. If he comes and plays in the NHL this year and is able to really take that spot from guys like even Emil Andre, Egor Zamula, like he's gonna have to jump a lot of guys to make the NHL. So we'll have to see what happened. Kyle, who is currently our linesman right now, he said that there's a bit of a recency bias in this ranking because he did like his step last season. Like you said, he looked a bit more mobile. He can get a bit more comfortable in the AHL and then maybe bring that sort of play style to the NHL. And Kyle even said he doesn't think he's going to turn into a stud, but he can see him being, a bottom six, a bottom pair guy into the future. And that's just sort of what you can expect from him, right? It's whether or not you place value in a guy like that coming out of the AHL over just signing random veterans that most teams do heading into training camp, right? And competing for that spot. If you think Grans can maybe even try to push for a number 4-5 spot and actually get in the defensive rotation and not be on the bubble, then yeah, I think that makes perfect sense to put him at 21. But that's all we got for today. We will have another video coming soon where we start to get into a bit more meat of the rankings, get a bit more sexy names getting out here at 20 to 16. Maddie, you got anything else about the guys on this list? Anybody else maybe you even wanted to mention?
Nobody specifically, but I just think we sort of touched on this last week too, but it definitely speaks to the depth of the prospect pool at this point. Like, maybe it's not as deep as it has been over the past, in years past, but
Yeah.
we're down in the 20s and we've got some guys who might legitimately play meaningful NHL games. So pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, Amico, second round pick, 18-year-old at 22. I think there's a lot of fan bases who would have him in a top 10, if they were really high on him just because of that, how much you get the frame, the speed, the ability to kind of move the puck, right? And then you have two guys in McDonald and Grans who could both play NHL games this year, right? And Tuomaala could as well. So it's going to be interesting to see where these guys end up landing. I think there's a chance that some of us look a little bad. I think maybe Helge Grans might make me look a little goofy for putting some guys that I put in front of him. But hey, we'll have to see. But
that's the fun of
well,
the rankings.
that's just the fun of the 25 under 25, man. We just get to argue about it, and most of these guys never play an NHL game, so that's all the fun of it. But we're done having fun for today. We'll be back soon for the number 20 through 16 on the top 25 under 25. But for Maddie, for Kyle, for everyone at BroadStreetHockey.com, I am Jacob Russell, and thanks for watching.